Before we get into the video, I just want to shout out this kind old man who walked into my dojo one day and promised to help me teach my students karate. He's even promised to look after my pet mouse, Mr. Fluffles, whilst I'm on holiday. Yay! Now, the scripts for Cobra Kai Season 3 were finished late last year, and filming for the upcoming entry is due to take place between January 20th to April 15th. This hopefully means that the series will release before the end of 2021, but until then, I thought I'd break down what we can expect, as well as my theories on what could happen. If this is your first time here, then welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka the guy who puts the fist in pacifist, and your mother. Now let's get into the breakdown. Okay, so Cobra Kai Season 3 ended with everyone's favourite sensei John Kreese calling out to a close friend to help him beat both Daniel and Johnny. Wait, isn't that the guy who's looking after my dojo? No, never mind. Now, throughout the season, we'd seen the ins and outs of Kreese's backstory, namely his time in Vietnam. During this, he had a couple of allies, namely one that looked very similar to Terry Silver, but who sadly died before he could start his own dojo that ended up terrorizing the entirety of California. Now, because of the similarities in looks that he had to Terry, I've actually seen a lot of people confused about why the guy who they thought was Silver died, but it's all just been one big misunderstanding, and the real Silver is indeed the person that we see coming out of his cage, and he's been doing just fine. This is confirmed by the line uttered in the season right after this guy is killed, in which the captain says, "Shut your goddamn mouth, Silver." So this is definitely Silver, and Kreese reaching out to him at the end means he will be returning. Similar to the Karate Kid 3, Silver saw himself as owing a life debt to the character, and this means that all Kreese has to do is call out his name, and wherever he is, he'll come run. I'll stop with his songs. Now, in Karate Kid 3, Silver was revealed to have accumulated a fortune since the war, and during the film, he actually bought a number of dojos. He also tricked Daniel and had Mike Bonds fight against him, which links back to Daniel in the third season, saying that he almost lost to fear. Now, because of the PTSD that Daniel had over this, I do think that Bonds will be back too, and that there could be a triple threat for the fourth season that involves Kreese, Silver, and the character. This will lead to Daniel and Johnny preparing even harder for the All Valley, and the three villains will make the stakes that much more higher. But who could Danny turn to for help? Well, we already know from Season 3 that he's buried the hatchet with Chosen, and I think it would be great if he chose to reach out to him. Now this would allow for the character to come back and also teach more of the pressure point technique, which I think will become essential in the All Valley. I'd actually love to see Chosen end up with Kumiko as well, and hey, that might be a bit cliche, but they're both single, so why not? Now, there are still a lot of theories floating around that say Tory will be revealed as a relation of either Silver or Bonds. The former would mean that she's Terry's granddaughter, or if the latter is correct, then Bonds is her dad. We now know for definite that Ali isn't her mother, but as her dad was absent in Season 3, whereas her mother wasn't, it does leave the possibility open that Mike could be her pops. Whenever the Silver theory has been brought up, the first response normally is that Tory lives on the breadline, whereas Silver is so rich, it's like he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, eh? Now that's a very valid argument, but my response to it would be, well, the lad spent millions on dojos that didn't go anywhere, so maybe now he's broke. Now, though the Ali thing fell flat, there are other theories floating around that Tory's mum might actually be either Jessica from Karate Kid 3, or Julie Pierce, aka Hilary Swank. Both cast members still work regularly, and it would be a pretty big get to have either, especially Hilary Swank, though some say she's not that hot. Now, the show did keep Tory's mother out of view, so there are some options. However, the next Karate Kid is pretty universally hated, so whether Swank would want to come back to reprise something that took her a while to live down does remain to be seen. Either way, there are two camps when it comes to Tory. Some see her as a sort of last Jedi Rey, where she's a nobody, and others see her as a Rise of Skywalker Rey, where she's a Palpatine, but also a Skywalker at the end. Tori Sue did show up out of nowhere with some amazing karate skills, and though she said she did have training in martial arts, This came completely out of nowhere, so I'd love to at least see some training behind this that ties in with the larger cast of characters. I'm still not sure exactly what reveal I want for her, but the show is very much rooted in families such as Robbie, Sam and so on, so it does make sense to bring in another dynamic with the return of Silver and Mike. Now there's also the potential that Miguel's father could pop up at some point, and during the series he's been described as a very bad man. This could also open up the door for him to be Bonds, as he'd roughly be the same age as Johnny and Danny are, so it does make some sense. It would add another layer to things, as Johnny is of course staying in coma now, so to have Bonds pop up alongside Silver and be revealed to not only be working with Kreese, but also Miguel's father, it just throws a lot of spanners in the work. Imagine if Bonds was Tory and Miguel's dad as well. What a crazy soap opera it would turn into, as well as a terrible theory. Now, another bad theory is that Kreese's girl back home is actually alive and that he has a child. Before approaching the fighting arena, Kreese was told by his captain that she died in a car accident, and this was seemingly confirmed by a letter which he received before they set out on the mission. Now, whilst this is very likely the truth, it could also be possible that it was a Dear John letter and that the captain was simply lying to him to get him to go all out in their fight. Cap was very much about pushing people's buttons and enforcing the idea that they were to show no mercy, so him lying to get Kreese angry does line up a lot with what was said. He never pulled the captain out of the pit, so the captain never got the chance to tell him that he was in fact lying, and we're clutching at straws here, but let me just think. Now, though it's a tenuous theory, it could be revealed that she's actually alive, and this may be what stops Kreese turning into a complete maniac at the end of season 4. Wait, that is the guy looking after my dojo. I better get back. All right, the theories. Look, now we do know that the All Valley is definitely going ahead once more, and this will be where all sides have their big showdown in season 4. However, I think it might actually extend beyond that, and after the winner is announced, likely Miguel, that Robbie will try and attack him after the fact, and that it will be Johnny who has to bring him back from Kreese. Robbie has pretty much always been on the precipice of being bad, and I think that the key to winning him back lies with Johnny finally accepting that he has to put his son before himself. Sid was always someone that viewed Johnny as a person he had to bail out rather than his son, and I think Johnny is very similar in his view of Robbie. That means that he's the key to bringing him back from the brink, and I think that it will very much be the way that the 4th season ends. Now, as for Johnny and Danny's gym, I'd love to see it be called Yaaay Kai, or maybe Eagle Fang. Wait, that's take. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on what the name should be, and if you have any other theories, then comment below and let me know. Don't forget that on the 30th of January we're giving away 3 copies of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings 4K box set to our subscribers. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the episode. The winner of last month's competition are on screen now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of 75 of the best Easter eggs in the season, which will be linked on screen right now. We went through the entire thing and pointed out some of the coolest details, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want something else to watch. Now with that out of the way, thank you for sitting through the video. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.